The Jets need to reach the Super Bowl
I'm so
in this
exhausted
first
from
season
that last talk.
with
I
Aaron
know.
Rodgers.
I'm so.
Buckle up, it's a long show, Kimberly.
That was the whole first take
cut me,
episode.
Nick.
Okay, the question is, do they need to reach the Super Bowl in
Yes.
year one? No.
Yeah.
Again, I come from the experience of literally being a beat writer on this team and watching this team transform over the years. This is not the same old Jets. This is not the Jets of old. I understand the pressure that comes with Aaron Rodgers. Make no mistake, he was brought in here for one reason only, to win a Super Bowl. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be in this year. They can win. Like, I think people get caught up in trying to compare Aaron Rodgers to Tom Brady. We don't have to. Aaron Rodgers doesn't have to follow the Brady script of go to a new place, boom, you win a Super Bowl. If he wins it next year,
Amen.
mission complete. You take a team that literally the last time they were in the playoffs, I was a Cub reporter and Bart was on the team. Like, let's be honest, it's been a minute. It's been a minute. That was like 9 jobs ago.
Oh, you're making me sound just.
Sorry.
Hold on.
On your birthday.
It's your birthday.
No. You still look good.
Thank you.
Okay. It's been a long time. So the expectation of all of a sudden, the Jets are going to get a whole different quarterback, a whole different offensive system, get all these new pieces from the draft and from Green Bay, and all of a sudden say, win a Super Bowl now when they haven't even gotten to the playoffs. Like that to me is a little unrealistic, and I don't think we would have the same expectations if it weren't the Jets. Like, I feel like people act like, oh, well, if they're good, they better win the Super Bowl or else this is a failure. They have, the window is as long as Aaron Rodgers is in New York, and I think it's going to be about 2 years. So if they win it next year, hey, he did what he was supposed to do.
Well, you can relax because we actually agree on this.
Oh, thank you, Lord.
Yes,
Thank you,
on this
Jesus.
point. Now, I do think that because of the hype train around the Jets, which I think, frankly, is too much too soon, that people will be let down if they don't at least reach a Super Bowl. I don't think it's fair to a team that just won 7 games last season. We're expecting them to go from 7 games to a Super Bowl ring immediately, but that is what Aaron Rodgers brings to your franchise. And we know Aaron Rodgers is going to flirt with retirement after this season, even if it's just to get us all talking. That's what he's going to do. I expect, though, that they are going to get a couple seasons out of him, and so they would need to win a Super Bowl here in the next 2 years, but not necessarily this season for me. I do think it's too much too soon. Now, they can't get bounced.
How far do they have to go? How far do they have to go?
That's the thing. Like, I do think because of the hype train and because of how much people expect from this team, I think it's going to be disappointing if they at least don't find themselves in a conference championship. And again, that heat is going to be so turned up if they are not in a Super Bowl, even if he loses the Super Bowl. But you can't get bounced before the AFC Championship. You can't.
Well, I think they just have to win a game, right?
Yeah.
I think they have to get to the playoffs, win a game, make sure they beat New England. That's like Michigan going against Ohio State. You got to try and erase that.
Is this you setting the bar low for your former team?
No, not at all. But most teams, when you talk about making that jump, a lot of teams make that jump from 7-9 to Super Bowl. That's exactly what Tampa was under Jameis Winston. And one thing we can talk about is just the narrative of how things have changed in such a short period of time for the Jets. Last year, I remember, sitting here around this time, and we were the laughing stock of the NFL because Tyreek Hill used the Jets for leverage to get more money from the Miami Dolphins. Say, who, the Jets? Hey, Tyreek, how does that feel this year? Because Dalvin Cook decided to come to New York and not
Cook,
Miami,
I think, just
his
did the
hometown.
same thing because Miami didn't give him as much money as New York.
But also, you have to ask yourself, who would you rather attach yourself to? Aaron Rodgers or Tua Tagovailoa, who's unproven in this league and can't stay healthy?
That man wanted to be in Miami. Come on, Miami Central. That man wanted to be in Miami. Miami wasn't paying him what New York was paying him.
New York.
Aaron Rodgers gave back $35 million in order to get him.
New York isn't a bad comp. Listen, it's just as fun to live in New York as it is in Miami, outside of the weather, right? But also, you talk about, you heard exactly what he said. He said, I've been on the other side of that guy. I was in Minnesota. I know how special he is, and I know what the difference he is. And I know if I take my services to him, I think my chance of winning the Super Bowl is higher if I go with Aaron Rodgers than if I go with Tua Tagovailoa with all the weapons that they have, because I've seen it. This guy is special. He's different. He's a 4-time MVP, first ballot Hall of Famer, and he's here on a mission. We have Aaron Rodgers at one of these very rare times in his career. We've only seen him a couple of times pissed off, right? We saw him pissed off when he had to sit behind Brett Favre. He ran off a Super Bowl immediately after that. We saw him pissed off when they decided to draft Jordan Love, scorched earth Aaron Rodgers. And what did he do? He went to back-to-back MVPs, right? So now we see him pissed off and deciding to say, you know what, I'm going to do it my way. Because the Jets, you talk about Nebraska, the Jets, and Saleh and Joe Douglas, they've given Aaron Rodgers the ability to do something that he couldn't do in Green Bay. Allow him to go out and buy some of the groceries. So Dalvin Cook coming here, yeah, they paid him more because Aaron Rodgers gave back $35 million and say, hey, I want to play with guys like this. I want to be able to have the ability to pick some of the teammates that I want. So should the Jets, be a Super Bowl contender? Yes. I don't know, this is what I don't understand. Everybody's outraged, oh, whoa, temper it down for the Jets. The Jets, it's understand, but they're the Jets and the AFC is loaded. Okay, understand that. But the same people are Super Bowl on the Lions. Last time, listen, I'm from Detroit. Last time I checked, the Lions haven't won a turkey day since my dad was like 30 years old. Every single season, turkey is horrible. My dad don't want to eat no dessert. And it's always the early game, too.
Yes.
Right.
So they at least put it on the last day. Right, so, but everybody's bold on the Lions.
That is a wonderful point.
Are you okay with him playing the preseason?
No, absolutely not. Especially this
100%.
quarterback.
100%.
All you have are concerns of durability with Tua Tagovailoa. There's no concerns anymore when it comes to accuracy. There's no concerns anymore even when it comes to arm strength. The concern is durability. Why would you wheel him out there before you have to? Please, Mike, please don't do this.
If he thought he was going to do it, he's going to say no. If anybody knows the reports of Tyron Armstead, being carted off yesterday, you damn sure ain't putting him out there now. That he's compromised. But reps are valuable. But now when you have these joint practices, you're able to get the same work that you need at game tempo because the opponent's going to go at you hard because they want to impress their team. And you see all these little fights that we have, these little dust-ups. But now they're having these controlled because it protects your quarterback from being hit because no matter what you do in these practices, the quarterback is never live. So this is the best way to get it done. But I do have concern because you talk about Tua and he's learning how to fall and take jiu-jitsu and all that type of stuff. You can't learn how to fall. When somebody's throwing you to the ground, you can't learn how to fall. And listen, this is very important for him. They didn't give him a long-term contract because they don't know if he can be durable.
Exactly.
Every player plays for that second contract, for that job security, and for that opportunity to take care of their family for the rest of their life. So I get concerned with Tua maybe pushing through some things this year that he shouldn't. And that's not a good thing because, the beauty about the new concussion protocol is that we be honest. And the first indication of that was Ben Roethlisberger, one of the toughest quarterbacks in all of football, self-reporting one week and taking himself out the game. But this the game we play and it's what we sign up for when we play football. We understand that it's inherent risk. But with this offensive line, their inability to run the football, that means they're going to pass the ball a lot. You got to try and create balance. That's why Dalvin Cook was such a big blow for them and being able to have that balance. And now that's going to put, Tua Tagovailoa at a disadvantage because I feel he's going to get hit. And if he has a concussion this year, we're not even talking about this season. We're talking about his football career could be over.
Yeah.
He could be forced to medically retire, much like Troy Aikman had to do a couple of decades ago.
And it's not just concussions with Tua, too. He's never been
had that.
healthy. I mean,
He's had a lot of
college, NFL.
Well, that was what I was.
Where they got Mike White.
Hey, Mike White, had he
supposed
not
to be
gotten his ribs
answering you.
broken?
Yeah, Mike White knows how to get hurt, too. Just ask any Jet fan.
Wow. Okay. I was going to mention health and the fact that this isn't a 2023 conversation. That's why I get a little frustrated when people bring up, well, he's learning how to fall with the jiu-jitsu. I like the idea that the Dolphins' playoff chances and Super Bowl hopes literally rest on Tua and jiu-jitsu falling.
Right.
Like, how ridiculous does that sound? And I understand Dolphins fans are going to be in my mentions, because they're sick and tired of hearing it. But it's a serious thing. It's not just, this kid, he is so talented. I was there in Baltimore when he put up 6 touchdowns on the Ravens in, week 2 or 3. And I'm interviewing Tyreek Hill after the game, what do you think about Tua and these 6 touchdowns? He's like, Tua, he threw what? Wow, that boy's crazy. We know how good Tua is when healthy. We don't know how long Tua can stay healthy. So you cannot risk it at all. And I understand. I think coaches sort of, when it's a no, they'll say it's a no.
Yeah.
Mike, got me saying Mike White. Mike McDaniel and the
Mike White.
We'll see.
We're gonna see Mike White.
Yeah, a lot.
We should see it.
Let's broaden the conversation a little bit. Which AFC East quarterback has the most to prove, Bart?
For me, I think it's got to be Josh Allen, right? Because we talk about these windows, right? And remember, this was a window when they had that duel, when he had that great duel, and they gave up the touchdown of the century like in 2 seconds to Patrick Mahomes. We thought that this was Josh Allen's league and that this team was in a window where they were going to win Super Bowls. Remember how optimistic everybody was last year? It was like, this is the it team. They went and got Von Miller. He's the quarterback whisperer where he goes, championship goes. Now they find themselves with a lot of question marks. They haven't addressed the ability to run the ball. Ken Dorsey's going to be under tremendous pressure. Josh Allen's under pressure to change the way that he plays because we've seen this story before. We've seen a young, dynamic personality / quarterback come in and have success at a young age, take his team to the Super Bowl and fall off a cliff. And that was Cam Newton. And Sean McDermott had a front row seat. So if he doesn't continue to start protecting himself, listen, it's not a high percentage to keep taking on linebackers and safeties coming down, taking your legs and your knees and your head out. It's not a recipe for long-term success. And we don't want Josh Allen to be some supernova. It was beautiful while it lasted, but it didn't last that long. And the way that he played, forced by his team because they won't commit to the run. Much like you talk about Mike McCarthy wanting to run the ball to kind of salt games away, Josh Allen has to learn how to, one, protect himself, step out of bounds, don't fight for the extra yards.
Hey, that's him.
And also
That's him.
turn around and hand the ball off. And if he doesn't do that,
can you learn that?
He's not going to learn it. They've been telling him that.
Because you just told me Tua can't learn how to fall. Can Josh Allen learn how to not take that contact on, not lower his shoulders, not go after it when he's been playing the game that way his whole life?
Well, you take the decisions away from him by turning around and handing the ball off. And if you have to punt sometimes, punt is a good thing. You're supposed to have an offense and defense, and you can gain yardage by playing the field position game and not putting your quarterback at risk and having designed quarterback runs for a guy that's going to look up, listen, he's a freakazoid, okay, right? Everybody said, that's Ryan Clark's word, freakazoid. But guess what? People on that other side of the ball are freakazoids too.
Will Peyton turn Russ around this season?
No. Just because it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck don't make it a duck. Just because I'm a short quarterback that won a Super Bowl, I'm not Drew Brees, right? So you look at it, and I think he's going to realize, and I think he's going to owe Nathaniel Hackett an apology probably Game 5. Because if you watch what this offense looked like in the first preseason game, it took them like 4 drives to even put points on the board against the twos of another team. So it doesn't look like they, fixed the problem and he came with this magic wand and all of a sudden Russell Wilson is a great player. And the problem is he's in the wrong division at the wrong time. Now, we talk about a great quarterback in Aaron Rodgers coming into the AFC East with Tua, with Josh Allen, and we have all the confidence in the world that he can go throw for throw with those guys. I don't have that same confidence that Russell Wilson can match Herbert. I don't have the same confidence that he can have Patrick Mahomes, that he can outdo a Patrick Mahomes. So when you talk about it, like what you're paying him and what you're going to get back in return, you know what I mean? I think, you're going to be, disappointed in what you get because I think at this point he's on a decline in his season, and there's been a lot of guys that played well into their 30s, and, you talk about Tom, you talk about Aaron, guys that have excelled in their 30s. I think the fact that Russell Wilson, in my opinion, has lost his short area quickness, his ability to make people miss inside of the pocket and be able to throw these moon balls, these off-schedule plays, it was a big part of his game, and I think he doesn't have the ability to do that. And he can lose all the weight that you want, but I think that was him admitting to himself that I got to get more athletic. He just can't. The body, we all have to come to realization that we're getting older.
Yeah.
So juxtapose Sean Payton's comments with what Zach Taylor said about Joe Burrow this week, which is he's rare. Joe Burrow is special. He has killer instinct. Then you hear Sean Payton say, you know what? Here's a really good trait. He likes to please. What?
Teacher's pet.
Listen, I want my man to please, but I need my quarterback to get a touchdown. Like, let's keep it 100. Like, the idea that when you think about all the things that you could say about your quarterback and why, knowing the narrative around Russell, knowing that you took this job after the chaos of last year, and you know that you got to build this guy up, because Russell cares what people think about him. He cares about public perception. And the best you can do, the best you can find to say about this man is he aims to please. I want my QB being decisive. I want him not looking lost in the pocket. I want him to look like a vet who has won a Super Bowl and not some like second-year guy that's sort of like figuring it out. I understand there's going to be growing pains. I understand that it's a new system. I get that Russell isn't the Russell of old, and that's okay. But what we saw in that first preseason game, and I understand it was one preseason game, but what you saw was still a quarterback who did not look comfortable, and it took too long for them to get in the end zone. So I don't know what to think about the Broncos. Do you trust Sean Payton? 1,000%. Will he make Russell into a quarterback that can lead this team to the playoffs? I don't know.
He wouldn't have taken the job if he didn't think he could, right?
Well,
And here's the thing with Russell Wilson that I don't think gets talked about enough. That dip in production from Russell Wilson started before he was wearing a Denver Broncos uniform. It started when he was in the Seahawks, when they switched from Schottenheimer to Waldron, right, at OC. And then all of a sudden, the production starts to dip a little bit. So it was schematic. A schematic change didn't work well for Russell Wilson. Then he gets to the Denver Broncos. We know what happened last season. A huge dip in production there last season from Russell Wilson. Schematic change again. Enter Sean Payton. I have that belief in Sean Payton that this is the guy at the helm. I'm not saying he's going to be prime Russell Wilson anymore, but he's still on the right side of 35 years old, guys. He's only 34. He was only 33 last year when we saw that devastating season from him. I don't understand why, and yes, Bart, I understand we all get older. I'll speak for yourself. I'm still, I mean, you know, I'm age like whatever. No, but I mean, and happy birthday to you. We all get older. We all have to accept it. This guy's still pretty young, relatively speaking, at that position.
You keep saying he's relatively young. The Seahawks were happy to get rid of him.
And
That's the reality. With Geno Smith.
Again, schematic though. Schematic. Would they have been better if Brian Schottenheimer was still in place?
Why do you make the schematic like if you have a quarterback that you believe in, that you think, oh, this is our dude, we can win a Super Bowl.
You change the coordinator, not the
quarterback. You cannot change the coordinator and
you change the coordinator, not the coach.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.